Phillips, you are suing your ex-boyfriend for $1,000 in child care expenses you claim he has ignored since denying that he is the father of your 2-month-old daughter, Jordan, whom he refuses to meet. Today, you have petitioned the court for a paternity test to prove he is the father and are looking to recover your $1,000 child care expenses. Mr. Gibbs, you claim that Ms. Phillips did not live up to your standards and has a long history of sexual promiscuity. You believe you are not the father of her baby and therefore say you owe her nothing. Now, Ms. Phillips, tell me about your relationship with the defendant.
Well, Your Honor, I thought this was going to be the best situation. I thought that he was actually the one for me, you know, and I think it started for me when, you know, he went to this convention, a spiritual convention, and he came home that night. He was just like, you got to go. So
okay, wait. I just must stop you. You're in a relationship.
Yes.
He's the one for me.
That's how I felt.
Then he goes to a spiritual convention.
Yes.
And comes home and tells you to get out.
Yeah, he told me he had to go because he was working on himself or whatever. So I was like, well, it's late. You know, can I just wait till the morning, just go to my grandmother's house? Because, you know, it was late.
It's middle of the night.
Yes, it was like 12, 1, 2 maybe. So he takes me to a hotel. I'm in the car crying, boo-hooing. I'm like, why? You know, why? He was like, he can't do this no more. He gotta do right. So I was like, okay.
Okay, Mr. Gibbs, I have to ask you, is this true? Did you go home after the spiritual convention and put Miss Phillips out and take her to a hotel?
A lot of stuff led up to this event.
Okay.
Okay, first of all,
fill me in.
The first thing that happened was we went to a Christmas party that her friend was throwing. She's getting approached by a guy, I guess they know it's a part of the family. He kind of just ignores that I'm even there. I'm asking her, I said, hey, you going with me or not? No,
And
so
she's
you want to
shaking
stay?
her head yes.
Yeah, so she want to stay here with the guy that I just got into an altercation with. Then the next event, we get to...
Let me stop at that event, because I need to understand from Miss Phillips now, why is it if you came to the party with him and you guys were together when there was an altercation, why didn't you leave with him?
The only reason why I didn't leave with him because the dude was still hot. I've been around that family for years, and I know how they work. So what I was doing, I was just trying to, you know, kind of keep it down because they was ready to go to the house.
So out of protection for him, you were just trying to diffuse it.
Exactly.
And say, I'm just going to stay.
Exactly.
After that, it follows up, I go to Miami with a friend of mine. 2 days later, I get a call from a mutual friend that says she was involved in an event.
I called you and told you.
My mutual friend told me first. They left and went to a party where I know what type of girl she is. She's a very promiscuous girl, put it like that, herself. So when she gets there, she's already in the car. She tells me Mahogany didn't even want to get into the car because she's seen her.
I got right in the car and I seen her. I even say hey to her. She didn't say hey to me. And that situation, yes, I was.
Originally, she told me that was her brothers, her real fleshly brothers.
Yeah,
I asked her several times.
I told him all this. This is what I told him.
Mr. Gibbs, you say that Ms. Phillips admitted to cheating.
Yes,
yeah,
I did.
She told me that, but when I first got back, she told me that she didn't. Nothing happened. I was with my brothers. That story stayed for about a month and a half until finally she broke out and said, yeah, I did cheat, but it wasn't with who I was with that night.
So the trust is going out the window, but you're still with her?
I'm still with her. Then another situation where I was with, talking to a friend of mine outside during a party, and he was telling me, I was with this one girl, man. We was in the back seat, we doing it, and all of a sudden, a guy in a black car pulls up. And he was like, I said, the black car pulls up. He said, yeah, she told me to go ahead and let's get out because he's crazy. It's my boyfriend, he's crazy. I said, did the black car look like this one? And he was like,
yeah, that was a friend of mine. And we were talking in front of my house when he came. But we went together.
Didn't this person tell you that she did have sex with him?
Yes.
And we weren't even together.
And he explained in detail.
Okay,
but
wait a minute.
We weren't together then. And I felt bad about it. I told him I felt bad. I should never did it. I didn't even feel good about it at all. But when I go through his stuff, the bag that he took to Miami, I see condoms in the open, and they open and one missing.
Had the relationship ever been positive?
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, it's been good. A lot of times, like, cause there's been times that we actually did things together. I mean, we acted like a family. He had his 2 girls, I had my boy. We was, you know, we was doing things we were supposed to do in a relationship. We just had a real relationship. It's just when he get in that mind frame where he assuming that something happened, it turns sour. Which I understand, because if you cheat once, then you think he gonna think you always cheating. But then that's why I kept myself around him.
There was
so
times,
he wouldn't think that something was wrong. And that's what I did. I even had problems with my peoples. My grandmother was getting mad because I always was running over there to him. And then when he does it, it's like out of character. I'm worthless. You know, I'm the whore, the biggest whore, a slut. I'm everything, but yeah, I'm here doing everything I need to do that you want me to do.
But at the same time, I'm calling, where you at? Oh, she'll come up with this line or some story where she had been at with her friend's house. But when I get over there, as soon as we could be sitting there for 5-10 minutes, a phone call pop up. Hey, is Mahogany there?
And that's true.
In your statement to the court, you also talked about text messages.
I had went to jail for about 2 months. And when I got back out, the first thing I'm gonna do is go through your phone. Multiple dudes are in there making flagrant text messages. Oh, I'm horny for you, daddy, and all this other kind of stuff.
And that's a lie. It wasn't sexual.
Multiple text messages from multiple different guys. Five different numbers at least.
But yet,
I even called a couple of them back, and I'm like, hey.
He got other girls coming to see him in jail.
So thus far in this story, I'm hearing that, Mr. Gibbs, you were a good man in this relationship.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that I was just being 100% in the right because we was doing tit for tat, a lot of it.
Ms. Phillips, you said you thought he was the one for you.
Yes,
you really
I did.
And did you come to find out that you were the only one for him?
No, I know it's not. I knew that wasn't the case.
Did he have other women?
When I first met him, whatever, and we was getting into our relationship, he told me that he had been married before.
My wife at the time was living in Mississippi. We had been legally separated for almost 2 years at that
Well,
point.
I have a saying, a man is married until he is divorced.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True.
Still married.
And that's when I should have known that the relationship
But at some point you found out.
Yes.
2 weeks later,
and
but you continued.
And I still continued.
4 years
yes,
now?
I did, because by then I felt like I was stuck. I was young and I felt like I was stuck. Shoot, he ain't with her, so I'm gonna stay with her. Stay with him. That's how I felt.
What I'm gathering
Honest to God,
is that
truth.
this relationship was messy.
Yes, ma'am.
Despite this messiness, you end up pregnant.
Yes. The question up is it mine? And I'm like, okay, you feel like it's not yours, how? We haven't unprotected sex since we've been talking.
But here's the reason why I felt like that. The situation was when I had just moved into a new apartment. We had just gotten to blow up because it was either her friend had a birthday party, and they go out on the night on the town. I go by her house, she's not there. I'm knocking on the window, she's not there. And there's been multiple times where I go by there, she say she's there, she's gone. She done left her kid or whatever, gone. 2 weeks after I moved into my apartment, she was nowhere near to be found. When she find out that she's pregnant, and then she's telling me all these mixed dates, she go to the doctor, she says, oh, I'm 12 weeks, or I'm 16 weeks, and these are within 2 or 3 days.
Okay, so when I
counted back, I'm like, that's around the time when
and that's the night
she was missing.
When she was missing,
which made you doubt her.
So it made me doubt her. Yeah, obviously.
Okay, but then that was the night I calls up my friend. I did. I sure did call my friend, because my friend would tell me that I am worth something, that I'm not worthless. So that's what I did.
So this is a male friend?
Yes, it is.
And you had him tell you you was worth something.
And I kept putting him off and kept putting him off because I wanted this is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want. No. You telling me that you telling me that night, yeah, because he in the military.
There you go.
You had sex with the man. You're saying you did.
Yeah.
So do you understand from Mr. Gibbs' perspective why there's doubt?
Who gets pregnant by a man that you claim is you're pregnant by? You go and take off 800 miles away. You go to Tampa. You down there. You done left me up here high and dry. You're not worried about me. I'm calling. I'm trying to maintain a long distance relationship.
So I left.
How much can I do this when I'm not at doctor's appointments? I'm not there doing the pregnancy of this child. The labor of this child. I'm not there. I'm absent. But even still, when she came back for her birthday, I took her out. She came back to visit for another reason. She ain't come down to visit for me. She came down to visit for another reason.
So she left.
She left.
During that time, you kept in contact, but you didn't make the effort to go down to see her.
No, because at the time, I run my own business. I run my own business, and I work.
Pregnant.
Yeah, I was pregnant.
She did the traveling via her mother. or family.
But I was doing the traveling.
So, based upon this, Mr. Gibbs, you're convinced you're not the father.
I just say I have good reasonable doubt that there is. That I'm not the father.
Now, I'd like to bring up your witness, please. Please state your name, ma'am.
Raven Gibbs.
And you are Mr. Gibbs' sister, am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Tell me what you have to add to this situation that can help the court understand what's going on.
Okay, well, first of all, it's just too much between the both of them, back and forth. This has been going on for years. And when my brother first told me that she was pregnant and that she did have a child, I thought it was strange that she left and went to Tampa, because I felt like, okay, well, if it is his baby, you're not just keeping it away from him, but you're keeping it away from the rest of his family, too. Because if it is his daughter, then she's our family, too. So I thought it was kind of strange that she would just go to Tampa while she was pregnant. I don't mean like towards the end or the beginning. I mean like right in the middle. You know what I'm saying? We didn't know anything about when she was due or anything. And then all she would do was send pictures to him and then just talk about child support is what he was telling me. So I'm like, well, how can you do all that and you don't even have a paternity test, because they both were seeing other people. She was seeing other people and he was seeing other people. And he told me around the time that the baby was conceived or when she found out she was pregnant, it didn't add up because she was seeing other people and they weren't really together like that.
If you wanted him to be a part of the pregnancy, why leave in the first place while you're pregnant? I want to understand that.
I couldn't do it no more, Your Honor. All this drama he was taking me through, I was pregnant. I wasn't trying to be pregnant.
It was stressing you out.
Yes, I wasn't trying to be stressed out. I was not trying to be stressed out by him, and he know why, because he first came off denying it. Then we get into argument after argument about the situation. I had to go get me some rest. I was coming back, but I had felt like I needed to go for this pregnancy to get me some rest.
Why do you think she left?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that one out. But when she left, I mean, she didn't give no real definitive reason why she's leaving. She's saying, oh, I can't take it no more, but look what we've been going through for the past 3 years of chaos.
And I wasn't pregnant then.
So you're gonna get pregnant, but then now you take off right when things are getting critical.
And did your brother
serious.
tell you that Miss Phillips had left to go to Florida? And what did you think?
I thought it was strange because, I mean, if I was pregnant by someone and I wanted that person to step up, and even if I'm having problems with that person, I'm going to think about my child. I'm going to think about the fact that that's the father. So I'm going to try to, like, at least stay around and see where he can step in. We don't have to be together. We don't have to talk. I still can get my rest and my breaks from arguments. I thought it was strange because if it was just being a woman, if I had a child and I was in that situation, I wouldn't just leave while I'm pregnant, because that's just not natural to me.
Well, the baby comes first to me. And my baby's health is important to me. If I'm stressed out, of course, I mean, it's anything that can happen when you're pregnant. If you got a child, you will know that when you're pregnant, you can't be stressed.
But even after the baby was here and she would come to Pensacola, she still was like on the DL about it. So she still, you know what I'm saying, it still does not add up.
Well,
okay,
did I write you?
Yeah, you wrote me several times. We wrote back and forth. We wrote back and forth all the time. But even after the baby was born, she goes and says she's on Facebook with other friends telling them that, okay, the baby's not mine. She's telling her friends that they're not mine.
I never said that. You can't find out.
And in your statement to the court, you also said that some friends said that she told them that the baby wasn't.
She told her friends that they weren't, that it wasn't mine.
Oh my God, that's the biggest lie I ever heard today. Nobody will ever believe that baby ain't his, because they said, how in the world did he even deny her when every time you see him, it's me or me, him. They didn't even know that we had broken up. Everybody was shocked.
I think the only thing at this point that we have established is that this relationship was doomed from the start.
Thank you.
I feel like that's true.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbs, for your testimony. You may have a seat. I can't believe it, but I think I might be speechless. I'm looking for the light here. When did either of you treat this relationship as something of value or something to respect or be trustful? You were married, you were cheating, and you were tit for tat, and you break up, and then you get back together, and then potentially create a child. And still arguing about it. And the only thing this court cares about is that child. I think it's time for us to reveal the results, because I think we need to know. Are you ready?
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. Jerome, if I may. Oh!
Yeah, that's Jordan.
Now, Mr. Gibbs, you have never, ever met the baby, right?
No, ma'am.
Are we ready?
Yes.
These results, as prepared by DNA Diagnostics, reads: when it comes to 2-month-old baby Jordan, Mr. Gibbs, this court has determined that you are her father.
That's it.
How do you feel?
I'm completely fine with that. It never was a point where I felt like I didn't want. Well, I mean, we got the determination, and I can move on and be a father.
Like, I would be that nasty to not know who my baby dad is. I can't deal. I can't.
Express to the court what you feel.
That's embarrassing when your friends come by, oh yeah, I talked to Sherrod and he's like, you know, that ain't my baby. I gotta see that in black and white. Like, seriously.
I never said it wasn't my baby. I never said it wasn't my baby.
Oh my God.
But I did say, look, I just need to see verification. I got it.
For this reason, because it's been determined that, Mr. Gibbs, you are baby Jordan's father, I am going to award plaintiff the $1,000 in back child care fees, because it is your responsibility to help with the fees and the costs associated with the birth and care of baby Jordan up until this time and going forward.
Absolutely.
Now, Auntie, I don't know if you borderline sad or disappointed, but then you got the cutest little niece in the world, so I don't know how you could be sad.
I'm glad that she's an addition to the family. As far as her being another extension, then I'm happy for that.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, Mr. Gibbs, the best question I have to ask you for today is, are you ready to meet your beautiful baby girl in my chambers?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I will meet you there. Court is adjourned. Ms. Hayes, you say that your sister, the defendant, claims to have a child with your husband of 10 years, and you have petitioned the court for a paternity test. And you are here to warn her that when he finds out her baby is not his today, she'll probably never hear from him again. Now, Ms. Hayes, you state that your sister is just jealous that you were able to have her husband's baby and she was not.
Right.
You have no doubts that your sister's husband is your baby's father, and when you leave here today, you want her out of your lives for good.
Yes.
Ms. Hayes, how did your sister steal your husband?
I came home and found him and her in our bed naked, and I just, you know, I can't believe it after everything I've done for her. I knew that they were sleeping together, but to put it in my face and be in my bed and me walk in and catch them naked, why would it be any different? She slept with my first husband and my second husband. And I didn't even know about my second husband until my dad told me.
And she had me around each of them in the same predicament.
So you're not denying this, Ms. Hayes? Just so the court can clarify, this was your younger sister?
Yes. I've had custody of this girl since she was 11. You know, the choices that she made between our dad and her mom led her into drugs, prostitution, everything else. The latest time that I rescued you, I helped you get clean.
Yes, Your Honor,
I went to Chicago after not hearing from her for 7 years. The one time I did hear from her, she didn't even know who I was on the phone. I got to Chicago at 11 o'clock on a Saturday. She walks up to me and she weighs 56 pounds, has sores all over her, and has no shoes on. We left Chicago at 3 o'clock Sunday morning. I'm getting her dressed. I'm putting clothes on this child to take her back to Houston with me.
I lost control of my life, myself, my morals, everything. And when I got clean,
got you every time you picked up a phone
when I got clean, I had been an addict and homeless for 15 years.
It wasn't your mom.
And I didn't know how to be respectful. I didn't know how to be a woman. I didn't know how to be a lady. I didn't know how to respect myself. And it doesn't come overnight. And I did go to detox for a week. And when all this came about, I didn't go to my sister and say, I need sex, or I feel lonely. We used to hang out in her room together, watch movies, whatever we would do.
So you guys, first you got along. You were sisters.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And so everything was great. We would live together, hang out together. I would hang out in her room, watch movies.
And at the same time, she's lying to him about things that I'm doing to get me and him to argue so him and her can go off and spend time together.
And at some point, she says, Corey, make my sister feel like a woman. I'm sorry. Maybe she did it for my best interest.
He came to me, and I said, do what you do. But anybody that was respectful would have said,
I just said I didn't know how to respect myself.
Well, anybody that was respectful would have said, that's my sister's
Now you're playing the victim, but you gave him away.
It's not about the victim.
Okay.
It's not about being the victim. You are one in a line of many. And let me say that he's
Ms. Hayes, let's use proper language in the court, okay? I need clarification on something, particularly the line, do what you do. Does that mean that you looked your husband in the eye and gave him permission to sleep with your sister?
Yes. Well, I had been with him for 10 years.
Right.
She is probably about number 35 of the women that he'd been with.
They also had an open relationship where Michelle has invited people, like on Corey's birthday, invited other women over to be a part of that.
There was.
They had an open relationship like that.
It wasn't open. It wasn't an open relationship. There was a stripper that came to the house.
Okay. When her husband then approaches you, is there any part of you that just says, this woman has done a lot for me? That's one thing I'm just not gonna do.
I tell her today that I'm still grateful for her. I did not go about our relationship the right way. Again, I was on drugs 15 years, so within a year's time, I didn't have everything perfected.
Michelle, I completely understand all that you've done for your sister. I mean, when you enumerate out the lengths, the things that you've done to make sure pretty much that she's standing here today, I think it's commendable. And you've done what a sister should do. The part I cannot understand, it sounds like to me, as crazy as it is,
the best thing
that you gave them permission.
The best thing she ever did for me is take him away from me.
Now, Ms. Hayes, I have to ask you, why do you believe if you've let them go off into the sunset, into this relationship, and you know they're together, why do you think he's not the father?
He has a 6-year-old son. Well, actually, he's older than 6 now. And he raised a son that he believed was his for 6 years. Went to court, found out it wasn't his. He don't have nothing to do with him. He has a girl in Dallas now that says she has a baby by him. He won't go take the DNA test. And along with the numerous other women that always say they're pregnant, what makes you so special?
Why would anybody want to have Corey's baby? He's not a millionaire. He's not a millionaire. It's not like I'm going to get a lot of child support. What do you think I want from him? It ain't his money.
Are you saying to the court that you feel he's unable to have children,
No, she's not done with him, and she hopes that Kayla's not his baby.
If I wanted him, when he came up to me and asked me to sleep with him, I could have.
Oh, when was that?
I didn't want to.
When was that?
Months ago, I told you about it.
Let me bring up this. My sister...
So, Ms. Hayes, I have to ask you, is the reason why you think he's not the father of your sister's child because you think he's not able to have children?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Hayes, I have to ask you, is the reason why you think he's not the father of your sister's child because you think he's not able to have children?
Yes. She told him that she's got more than he does, that he's not a man.
I do.
Wow. What I want to impress upon you ladies as you argue like sisters is that really it's not about you.
Look at my baby.
It's about that beautiful little baby.
When Shauna was pregnant,
she bought her everything. She bought my baby everything. And for somebody who hated me and her ex-husband, her husband, out of spite, why would they buy my baby everything? This is confusing to me. I'm like, I'm pulled both ways. This doesn't make sense. I didn't have a baby shower. Everything I got were blessings from different people. Because I bought it, not just you.
Let's have some order, ladies. It's a beautiful, beautiful little girl. And no matter what the paternity issue is, we know one thing's for certain. You're her aunt.
And I haven't seen her in months.
And I see that you're emotional about that because you obviously love her.
You know, it's always that I'm kidnapping her.
Last time she came over, we had company and we had a roommate. So she followed my roommate in one day.
Who's the we having the roommate?
Corey and I.
Okay, that's who I want to meet. I want to meet Mr. Hill. Jerome, can you please go and escort Mr. Hill into the courtroom, please? It's time for me to hear from him. Mr. Hill, please stand at the podium. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here today. So there are questions that you may not be this beautiful little girl's father. Now, are you also in question about that?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not gonna lie. Deep down inside, I do have some doubts, and that is because you know, I've been through this situation twice before. You know, I took care of a child for 5 years. He's 15-year-old now, and took the DNA test. He wasn't mine.
Okay, I want to focus my attention on
I've been with Corey since little Corey was 6.
So, are you on the birth certificate?
Unfortunately, no, I'm not.
No, he wouldn't sign it.
He had to go to work.
That's not the case, ma'am.
He wouldn't. He was at the hospital every day and could have signed it at any time. It didn't have to be that particular day at that particular time.
Why didn't you sign the birth certificate?
I had to be to work within an hour. They came down for her to sign the papers. By the time they would go up and get the papers for me to sign, I would have already been at work.
So you was in and out. Now, how old is the baby?
Almost 11 months.
Almost 11 months old. So in 11 months, you never take it upon yourself to make arrangements to sign that birth certificate? You never take it upon yourself to make arrangements to sign that birth certificate?
Not true again. Not true again.
Tell me.
This is the deal. They gave us paperwork that we could mail in after we signed it. We did that. In the allotted time, they give you 30 days to do it. We did that. Unfortunately, for some unordinary reason that I don't know of, we were not, they didn't get the paper. And we went downtown to the county to follow up on it. They never got it. So, I mean, that's what happened as far as with me not signing the birth certificate.
So that's bogus because she was in the hospital after she had Kayla. Kayla was in the hospital for a month after they had her. They could have done it. Yes, he had to work. He only works like 3 or 4 days a week. Where's the other 3 or 4 days? What's he doing? Up there with her?
We didn't have a car.
24/7. He was with you 24/7.
And Mr. Hill, you have also told this court that there have been 2 different instances where you believe children to be yours, and then you find out later that they were not.
Yes, ma'am. As I stated before, there was a little boy, he's 15 years old. There's a little girl, she's 7 years old. We took a DNA sample. That is the truth. I actually showed.
For the girl, that's the truth.
Let me stay on this issue. You also stated to the court, Ms. Hayes, that in all the years that you were together with Mr. Hill, he never got you pregnant.
No. And the other 25 women that he carried on with for long-term relationships.
No, you're just jealous of us and you want to take the baby. That's what that is.
I don't want your baby. I don't want Kayla.
I didn't say you wanted to have the baby. I said you wanted to have the baby taken from us. It's proven by your actions.
Really?
Yes.
Have I called CPS on you?
Yeah, she came in and picked my baby up because we were outside on the patio.
I sure did. Her premature baby was on the couch by herself.
Family doesn't save you and then dog you out. She called his job after we changed our numbers just to tell him that Kayla doesn't look like him.
This is going all over the place, and we're getting nowhere. I'm supposed to be looking at family.
Yep.
And it would seem as if you two don't get along. I mean, you could be strangers on the street and be arguing like this. Now, you all are adults. You can mess up your life. You can not get along. You can be immature. But at some point, it affects her. And you got to get it together. What is the emotion you're feeling, Ms. Hayes?
You know, you sit there and you say family don't save you and dog you out. You're right, they
That's
still
why I
don't.
turn to God. That's the only hope I have. God has brought me a long way, and I'm very grateful.
Preach Christ all you want. At the end of the day, you're full of it.
Well, I'm sorry, you don't know him like I'm trying to know him.
At the end of the day, and the person that, you know...
Now, it's about boundaries, though. And I am not hearing where, with everything that's happened with you two, where you have created some reasonably safe boundaries, like, okay, I'm okay that you're with my ex-husband now, but this is what we need to do.
It's not about a man.
For my baby.
It's not, trust me, and it ain't about him.
So
I'm married to somebody else.
So now you're married to someone else.
Divorce him. No, just because?
Just because.
That's great. That's an upstanding deal.
You're married to somebody else, but you haven't divorced him?
Right, right.
That doesn't
Seems
sound
like everybody's
legal.
up to something, huh?
Okay. I want to give you both some words of advisement and encouragement, because I looked at a beautiful little girl on this screen, and all I can think is, she deserves more than this.
She deserves family. She shouldn't just have to be around them two.
This court is concerned with the best interest of this child. I think it's time to reveal the results. Jerome, please pass me the results. Thank you. I think it's time to reveal the results. When it comes to ten-month-old Kayla, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Hill, you are her father.
I just want to say what I was back then, I'm not today. And everybody needs a time frame to grow and get better. And I'm sorry that I didn't make the right decisions, but I'm doing the best I can. And if God provided us with this blessing, I'm going to do my best.
Mr. Hill?
Your Honor, I would just like to say that I hope that in the near future that they can mend their relationship, because at the end of the day, I never wanted to break two sisters apart, separate them, or have them feeling the way they feel right now. And that's just who I am and how I feel.
I commend you for taking responsibility for what you feel your part was in this. Now, Ms. Hayes, Michelle, you've said that you've moved on, and I am hoping now that you will have a sense of closure and maybe be able to form a relationship with your sister that can exist outside of just this man, but just between sisters. And you now know that she wasn't lying. Mr. Hill is the father. Can you accept that? Can you move forward? Ms. Hayes, I want you to keep doing the right things, minute to minute, day by day, week by week, month by month, one day at a time. You've been to hell and back. But the most important word I just said is back. You're back. And if you never thought you had anything to live for,
She's what keeps me going.
the court will provide you with drug counseling resources so that you can continue your healing. You must do this. And Mr. Hill, you must sign that birth certificate. Court is adjourned. Ms. Palmer, you opened today's case because the defendant is denying he fathered your 3-month-old son, Jace. You recently met your own father for the first time and refused to have your son grow up without his father like you did. Mr. Ross, you say Ms. Palmer is pinning her child on you because you have money, and you are in court to prove once and for all you are not her child's father. So, Ms. Palmer, how does it feel having to raise your son alone?
Your Honor, it's hard. I deal with it only because I'm a mother.
And it's just like...
Your Honor, first of all, we use condoms every time we had sex.
We never use condoms, Your Honor.
He's denying your child, as we can see, Ms. Palmer. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're raising the child alone?
Yes, Your Honor.
With absolutely no help from Mr. Ross?
Correct.
Jace is 3 months old?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, you're denying that this baby is yours, Mr. Ross, because you say you use condoms throughout the relationship?
Yes, Your Honor.
What was the nature of this relationship?
We were just friends with benefits, Your Honor.
I can see that this really hurts you. Ms. Palmer, what has it been like raising this child on your own?
It's hard. I raised my daughter by myself, and I never thought I would have to go through this myself, not once again. And it's just like, to deal with this, I feel like I shouldn't have to go through this. I didn't ask for this, but I took upon all of this because that's what a woman's supposed to do.
And you feel alone in this entire process of raising your child?
I do. I did it with my daughter.
To date, he's done nothing, am I correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, I'm not gonna do nothing for a child that I know is not mine.
And so you admittedly have not done anything for this child?
No, I have not
All
done
right.
anything.
So talk to me about the nature of this relationship.
I met Jessica in Birmingham, Alabama at a gas station. It was cold outside, she was pumping gas. She had a daughter in the car. So I walked over and asked her, could I pump her gas for her? So she wouldn't have to stand outside in the cold. So I got done pumping the gas, asked her for a number because she was looking good. So once I got a number, we got the text. Next morning, she texted me, good morning. I told her good morning. She asked me what I was doing, asked me if I want to come over. I told her, yeah. I asked her to send the address. She sent the address. The address was 0.1 miles away. I said, oh, that's walking distance. I can go ahead and go over there and get some real quick. So,
what? After just meeting her at the gas station?
Well, I went to her house. She gave it to me. And I asked, we were having sex for 2 weeks, but we were using protection the whole 2 weeks. And I asked her for a serious relationship. She told me that she wasn't ready yet because she was still messing around with other guys.
Oh, so you went over there, you all had sex this first day after meeting at the gas station one day, the next day, good morning, and the next of y'all were in the bed?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so you have sex, and then you continue to have sex for 2 weeks.
Yes, Your Honor.
You want to get serious with her.
Yes, ma'am.
But she says to you, no.
Yes.
When she told you she did not want a relationship.
I broke it off.
You just broke it off?
Right then, because I didn't feel safe with me. She having sex with other guys, and the rate of disease is high, so I ain't got no reason. I try to be with her.
Is that true, Ms. Palmer?
Yes, Your Honor. I wasn't ready for a relationship only because I had just got out of a relationship.
Okay, well, that's fair. You were honest. So you weren't ready to settle down, but are you admitting as well that during this period of time, you're also sleeping with other people?
I met someone before him, and then it's just like when I started talking to him, it was just only him. But the month before,
Your Honor,
it was
she told me she was
else.
talking to somebody.
I was talking to someone the previous month, yes. But the month that I met him, no.
So how soon after that did you find out you were pregnant?
And I was telling my friend, I said, something's not right. And she told me to come over, and we're gonna do a pregnancy test. We went to the store, we purchased 4 pregnancy tests. I took 2, both of them came back positive. And after that, that's when I went to the doctor. They told me my conception date was between the 6th and the 9th. I met Mr. Ross on the 7th. We had sex on the 8th.
Were you having sex with anybody else during that time?
No, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Ross, how soon after this did you hear, after this breakup?
Your Honor, about a month or 2 later, she sent a text message, a picture text message, which was a pregnancy test. I asked her, what's the pregnancy test for? She tells me that it wasn't for me, it was for the other guy she thought was the father of her child.
Wait, what?
Your Honor, I told him that it was someone else.
Well, if that's the case, she had to been sleeping around then.
Well, yeah, then this doesn't make sense, Ms. Palmer. So you accidentally send this pregnancy test to Mr. Ross, but you thought you were sending it to the other guy?
It was a mistake on sending it to him. So once he continued to deny, it's just like, you know, I left it where it was, and I, you know, continue with the alleged father.
Of course I'm gonna deny because she told me that I wasn't the father. And 9 months later, after she had a baby, she comes to me and tells me, well, I think you are the father. So of course I'm gonna have doubts because if she told me that I'm not the father and she was sleeping around with this guy and she lied, then who else to say that she might not be sleeping around with somebody else?
Okay, hold on. You give him this text message and you say, and this text message is a picture of the pregnancy results.
Correct.
you say to him, oops, I'm sorry, that wasn't meant for you.
Yes, Your Honor.
So now, is it fair to assume that a reasonable person in his position would say, if I get a pregnancy result and the mother says to me, oops, that wasn't for you, is it fair to assume then that you didn't think he was the child's biological father?
She told me it wasn't fair. She told me that she was sorry. She told me that she just wanted to try to see if I was the child father. But she didn't even know if I'm the child father. She just guessing.
Lauren Lake here, giving you 5 seconds to subscribe and click on the notification bell. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So she apologizes for sending you this test.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
You move on, you go forward with the other guy. At what point do you come back to Mr. Ross and say, I have changed my mind, I think you are my child's biological father? When does that happen?
In the beginning of August, me and the alleged father, we got a DNA test. And in the midst of us getting a DNA test and the results came back, I immediately contacted Mr. Ross.
You immediately did?
Yes.
And what did you say when you reached out to him?
I asked him to do a DNA test for me. And he told me that he was not the father. And then it's just like got to the point where he wanted to, you know, he started claiming my son, sending pictures, everything. He made the statement of he would help me buy a car seat.
I said I would help buy a car seat.
Not only that, he
bad.
was claiming my son at the time. And
I didn't
he
never
even
claim her son. At this point in time, I was in California. She sent me the text messages. I just kept blocking. I blocked her over 4 times. I didn't change my number over 2 times. I told her I'm not the father of their child.
When you get this communication that I do believe you're my child's father at this point.
And I told her no, I don't think I am.
So how do you go from saying, no, I know I'm not your child's father, to, but I'll buy you a car seat?
Because I felt bad. And she kept bothering me. I mean, I had to change my number. I had to do something.
You felt bad, but you didn't attempt to help me either.
I said I was gonna buy a car seat. I ain't say I was gonna buy a fraternity test. She trying to trap me because she know I have money. She asking me for things.
It's not about money,
She never asked me to come see the child.
It's not about money at all.
She never asked me to come see the child.
I don't need for him to do anything for my son.
So in your opinion, Ms. Palmer, how does it go from that point? Because this is where I feel like it goes from I'm positive I'm not the child's father to, well, maybe I am, and just in case, I want to kind of support and make sure I've done right by the child. Because what other reason would you have to buy a car seat unless you just, are being kind-hearted, but this is a woman you only had a 2-week relationship with.
The reason I said I'm gonna buy the car seat, because she left her car seat in my truck.
What was she doing in your truck?
He used to let me drive his car. That's the bad thing about it. He used to let me drive his car.
I used to let her drive because her car was messed up at the time. Like I said, we was talking for 2 weeks.
He took the initiative of being a boyfriend.
All right, got it. Okay, you said in your testimony just a few moments ago that there was a point in time when he had kind of bought into this notion of that the baby was his.
He used to say that he used to look like him. He always said, my son this, my son that, and then it's just like all of a sudden it changed.
I never said that child looked like me. I know that child
it's obvious my son looked like you. My son has the same lips, same eyes, same ears. My son has short limbs. I'm tall, obviously, Your Honor.
That's a newborn baby. You gotta...
Regardless if it's newborn or not.
Go to him now.
If my son and his oldest daughter was side by side, you would think it's the same exact baby.
No, you wouldn't. Real light.
He even told me that my son is not his son because my son doesn't have good hair.
At the end of the day, we know babies come in all shapes, sizes, and colors with all different textures of hair and everything else, and we don't talk about what's light, what's dark, what's good, what's bad. Everything about this baby is innocent and good. And too innocent and too good to have a paternity issue hanging over his head when he's 3 months old. He deserves the love of his father.
I grew up without my father.
We don't know if that's you, Mr. Ross. We don't know for certain if that's you, but we do know the child deserves it.
Yeah, it deserves it.
All right, so now, you, Miss Palmer, you said you grew up without your father.
I did. I didn't meet my father until a week before I gave birth to my son. And my dad actually looked for me. So it's just like, I don't want the same for my son. It's not a good feeling to have one parent and not the other. And he's a boy, so it's just like, I don't want my son just to feel like his dad never cared.
And what was that like for you growing up without your father?
It was hard because it's just like, I never knew about my dad, but they never initiated the fact who my dad actually was. I tried to research my own father. I never, I gave up after so long. And just for my father to find me a week before I gave birth, my father has really came into my life and changed my life. And I just don't want the same for my son. Like, he doesn't deserve it at all.
And so you feel like Mr. Ross is just attempting to avoid his responsibility?
I honestly do. So it's just like for my son, both of my kids both look like their father. They don't look like me at all.
Your Honor, after all this happened, she kept saying, I said, before I even send you any kind of money, you're gonna have to get a DNA test in because I'm not finna just give you no money.
He told me he was not gonna pay for one, so
I told him not gonna pay for one.
Look,
because in that case, she could have just told me I was the father when she thought the other guy was, and we wouldn't have to do that. We had to do it at the hospital. But
so you told her, I want a DNA test, but I'm not willing to pay for it.
First thing she told me, she said, well, I'm gonna put you on child support. I know how to handle this.
I mean, I do.
So you tell me how I should feel.
Why should I continue to make you or anything like that to take care of your son? I shouldn't have to do that.
Your Honor, I can't.
Well, I do. Hold on. Well, I do feel like Ms. Palmer. We have to state the obvious. Once you send a pregnancy test to a man and then tell him, oops, wrong man, I think it is a little bit unfair to tell him, oh, I know how to handle this. I'm gonna put you on child support. And you know you have not had a DNA test yet.
I mean, that was gonna be the only way that I would have gotten a DNA test was child support. So that's the only reason that I told him that I would put him on child support.
You know, it's not like I was avoiding.
So you were trying to leverage that to make him take the test?
Yes.
So let me ask you this. Are there any other possibilities? You admitted to him that you didn't want to settle down because you were dating other people, you were single, you had just gotten out of a relationship and you weren't ready. Are there any other people besides, any other men besides the man, the other person, and Mr. Ross?
No, Your Honor.
Your Honor, she was messing around with more guys because the guy she thought was her father, he actually is my cousin friend. And I actually know the guy.
I didn't know they knew each other, if they did know each other.
So of course he told me everything. He told me I wasn't.
He didn't tell him anything because once I got my DNA test, that was it.
But you were cheating on him.
I was not cheating on him.
And it wasn't with me. He told me, he was like, are you the father of Jessica Child? I said, no. He said, well, I'm not either because I took the DNA test. And that's when me and him got to talking. He was like, well, she already cheated on me before. And that's before me and Jessica even knew each other. So, of course, she had been sleeping around with me. But like she said, she was sleeping around with other guys. And guys is plural. That means more than one.
It means more than one, but, Your Honor, it was only the other guy and Mr. Ross. And what makes it so bad is they was months apart. So it's just like, I wouldn't even attempt or bring anyone else into this.
I don't understand how it could be months apart.
All right.
He said that he could have been a father. So it had to been sometime in the same conception.
So, Ms. Palmer, when you say you know he's the father, you talk about because it looks like him. It seems to me that you seem wishy-washy on whether or not it was truly only him you were sleeping with besides the other guy.
It was only him.
In the month of November?
Correct.
What about the month of October?
The month of October, I was with the alleged father.
All right. It's time for the results, Jerome.
Okay.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Palmer versus Ross, when it comes to 3-month-old Jace Palmer, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Ross, you are the father.
So what's next after this? Are you gonna step up and be his father? I was without my father for 23 years of my life.
Yeah, he'll take care of him.
Ms. Palmer, I know. When you tell me about your life and the fact you grew up without your father, I have compassion for you, but I am not surprised. Because what we know in this courtroom is that these situations repeat themselves. They are generational curses. They pass down and they keep repeating themselves until somebody has the courage to break it. And in this moment, you had that courage. And now, Mr. Ross, despite your testimony, this is your biological son. And when you say to her, I'm gonna help you take care of him, it's a lot to that. You understand that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That means financially, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And has she said now you can do it voluntarily, or she can go to court in your home state and you will have court-ordered child support? You all have to talk about that. You all have to figure out how to co-parent, and you have to learn how to talk to one another and respect one another. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.